Aloha, dear people. Hello and welcome. Welcome back to another episode of Touchful Podcast. And in this one, I have some questions to ask. I want to ask you and myself some of the most beautiful, eye-opening, life-changing, heart-expanding questions that I know. I want to tell you a little bit more about this method of self-inquiry, the method of asking yourself the right questions. And what kind of questions are these? How to work with these questions, why they can be potentially so life-changing. And of course, I want to share with you some of my most favorite questions to ask. But first of all, I want to say thank you for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and choosing to spend a moment of your life with me. It truly feels special and it's an honor. And I hope you will enjoy this episode. I woke up today with a weird, heavy feeling in my heart. It doesn't happen often. But today I was lying in bed and I could feel some sort of heaviness, some sort of stress, some sort of pressure. Oh, that's interesting. Some music turned on. I'm gonna turn it off. Sorry for that. I'm not gonna edit it out. So I woke up with some feeling of like overwhelm and stress and pressure, and I didn't even know why. And like I said, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, I have my ways to deal with that. Through breathing, through consciously connecting to my own breath, to my body. And there is one question that I like to ask myself in such situations when I feel kind of like I don't know what to do, I don't know what's going on. I like to ask myself, what would love do? What would love do right now? I don't know, and I'm not sure who is the original author of this beautiful question, but I got to know this question thanks to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I like to ask it ever since I heard it for the first time. And what happens when I ask myself this question is that I immediately start to feel the change in my body. And this is where I want to stop for a moment, and I want to talk to you a little bit more about the nature of these questions. These are very special kinds of questions, like the one, what would love do? And sometimes they are called wisdom questions, or you might know them as inner wisdom questions, or self-inquiry questions, or I like to call them expanding questions, questions that expand my consciousness, that expand my knowing and understanding. Some of my teachers, they call them quantum questions. So I'm just sharing all kinds of different names for these questions in case you want to research the topic further on. Then you can try Googling quantum questions, wisdom questions, life-changing questions, heart-opening questions, self-inquiry questions. And the nature of asking these questions is that we ask them and we do not actively seek for an answer. So normally we are used to the fact that when somebody asks me a question, it is because they want an answer. So the moment I hear a regular question from somebody, my mind starts to look for answers so I can give this person the answer to the question that they ask me, to something that they ask me about. And the nature of these questions, the quantum questions or the wisdom questions, is different. I ask the question not for the sake of looking actively for an answer, but I ask the question as an act of opening up myself to see something that I haven't seen before, that was hidden from my knowing, from my understanding, to open up my consciousness to something that was unavailable to me. Sometimes I like to imagine these questions as conversations between me and You can call it between me and the universe, between me and God, between me and my higher self, between me and my higher guidance, between me and my intuition. Whatever you believe in, whatever kind of connection between you and something else you believe in, the idea behind this question is that they open up the room for conversations. Just like with a regular person, when you meet somebody, you ask them questions because they open up the space for conversations. You get to know that person better, you get to learn something about them that you didn't know about them. That's why we ask each other questions. And the idea behind the wisdom questions or self-inquiry questions is exactly the same. It's just conversation between you and yourself, you and your intuition, you and your higher self, you and God, whatever you want to call it. So when you ask a question like this, you don't need to actively try to find the answer, because the answer will come to you this way or another. So that is one principle behind working with self-inquiry questions, with wisdom questions, that I ask the question, and just the act of asking the question is enough to induce some change, to start some change, to start changing my perspective. Just like this morning, when I asked myself this question, feeling what I felt, and I asked, what would love do? I didn't get the answer like love would do this and this and this, da 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 da, aka you should do this and this, da 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 da. It was absolutely not like that. I put a hand on my heart, I closed my eyes, I took a breath, and I asked myself, what would love do? And what happened for me, I immediately started to feel more at peace. Even now, when I'm recalling this moment and I'm sitting here in front of this microphone and I have my hand on my heart, my eyes are closed right now, and I ask myself this question, what would love do? In this very moment, what would love do? I immediately feel the sense of calmness, the sense of peace, and the sense of freedom. And that is one of the magical things about these quantum questions, wisdom questions, is that, at least for me and in my case, but I know that I'm not the only one, what they do is they immediately or almost immediately shift a perspective. They change a perspective. Sometimes it feels like they open up like a huge window in my mind or in my heart, or a huge door, something that was closed and I couldn't see or I couldn't feel something. Suddenly I can feel it, or I can see it. I can tap into this just because I asked the right question. So the art of working with self-inquiry questions, wisdom questions, life-changing questions is to learn to ask the right question and to understand that it is not about getting a particular answer right now in a particular way, but just to open yourself up to shifting perspective. I like to use these questions, and like I said, I will share some of my favorite questions with you. I like to use these questions as a way to expand my consciousness, as a way to get to know myself better. And if you have been hanging out with me for some time, then you probably know that this idea of knowing yourself truly, deeply, is one of my biggest fascinations and something that drives me in life. That I really believe that the point of living and experiencing everything is to get to know yourself better, to come back to your true nature, to who you really are, to who you truly are, to get to know yourself better, get to know yourself better, get to know yourself better, who you are under all the conditioning, under all the labels that were put on you throughout your life, who you truly deeply are, that it is the thing that matters to me the most in life, to get to know myself better, to get to learn to speak my truth and to help others to do the same through various ways. So one of the reasons why I love these questions so much is that thanks to them, I feel like I get to know myself better. And sometimes when I ask the question, I just get this change of of a feeling, like this morning with this question, what would love do? First, I got this overwhelming feeling of peace and connection, and the feeling that all is okay. That even the fact how I'm feeling right now, and I felt, like I said, a little overwhelmed and stressed and kind of like I couldn't find myself in a way, that it is also okay and I can be like this. And maybe that is something that love would actually say to me in that moment if she could speak. So that is number one question that I ask in various situations, especially when I feel stuck, when I feel that I don't know or don't see the best solution, I don't know what the best outcome could be, then this is a beautiful question to ask yourself. What would love do? If I feel that I want to act up from my wounded space, if I feel that I am triggered, if I feel that I feel lost, that I feel overwhelmed, if I feel that I am unloved or rejected, or in tons of other situations, ask yourself this question. What would love do? What would love say? And pay attention to what comes to you. It might come immediately in a form of words, like a dialogue, question and answer, but it doesn't have to. It can come in form of a feeling, an image, an idea, something that you should or shouldn't do. So when I ask a quantum question, a wisdom question, I just throw it out there, throw it to the universe with a full trust that the answer will come to me. Because that is the truth about a question, that when I ask a question, at least I give myself a chance to receive an answer this way or another. If I don't ask the question, then even if the answers are there, even if they are ready for me, ready just like on the surface, then if I don't ask the question, if I don't open myself up to the dialogue with the world, with my inner wisdom, with intuition, with my higher self, whatever you want to call it, if I don't open up myself to the dialogue with that, then there cannot be exchange of information between me and my higher self, me and my intuition, me and God, me and the universe, whatever you want to call it. So yes, that is the first one that I love asking myself. What would love do? What would love say? And there are a couple of situations, like I mentioned, when I like to ask myself these questions. One of these situations is when I want to connect deeper with my intuition. And the question that I like to ask myself is, what am I not seeing here? What am I not seeing here? Me as a little human with my limitations, what am I not seeing here? Especially if I feel that I am in a situation that feels like a one solution situation, or like a dead end situation, or something that feels seemingly horrible. What am I not seeing here? Or sometimes if I want to tap even deeper, what is the gift in this? What is the gift in this? If some of the questions that I'm sharing with you, and I will share many of them in this episode, if some of them are resonating with you, then I encourage you to write them down. You can write them down on a piece of paper if you can, or if you cannot and you're just like listening to me somewhere, want to walk, maybe you want to pause and open up the notes in your phone and write down these questions that resonate with you, especially right now, because these might be the right questions for you to ask yourself, to open yourself up to the endless possibilities of the answers that are coming. So what am I not seeing here? What is the gift in this? Another question that I shared with you in, I think it was a previous episode that I recorded, or a couple of episodes back, a beautiful question that opens me up to more courage. And the question is, what would I do if I had courage? What would I do if I had courage? this question allows me to connect to the feeling of courage in me and to just open up to the feeling, overwhelming feeling of, I have the courage. So what would I do? Another question that I love to ask myself from the same field, I would say. So the question that helps me if I feel scared, if I feel afraid, if I feel stressed to take the next step, then I sometimes ask myself, what would I do if I had courage? But then another question that I love to ask myself is, what if it works out? What if it will all work out? What if everything will work out? And actually, I almost feel like tears coming to me, to my eyes, when I ask myself this question. Because it allows me to connect to the other side of the spectrum. So normally from our, I call it little human, from our human perspective, we have these tendencies, of course, to stress and worry and try to protect ourselves from feeling pain or disappointment or rejection. So we tend to ask ourselves these questions: what if it will work? What if it will be a failure? What if it will not work out? What if it will be a disaster? What if this happens? What if this happens? What if he will not come? What if this will not arrive on time and then it will just all crumble into pieces? And it comes from this little human, from this part of us that just wants to make sure that everything works out, because that is our way of protecting ourselves from feeling pain or feeling rejected. And this is a valid part. It's good to have this part of our mind that thinks in terms of finding solutions to possible disasters. But I really feel that there's so much more to life than just this. And especially if this voice feels overwhelming to you, if whatever you try to do or create or make, if you have this voice like, oh my goodness, it will not work out, what if this will happen and this and it will be a disaster, then I invite you to ask yourself a question from the depth of your heart with best intention, the question that will open up the highway to your wisdom, to your intuition, the question, what if it will work out? What if it will be even better than you could ever imagine? And the thing is that in both cases, maybe you can feel it as I'm saying these questions, that in both cases, our body has an immediate response. So if I think about something like a project of mine, something that I want to do, and I'm thinking about it right now, and it's next week, and I'm asking myself, what if nobody will come? What if it will be a disaster? What if people will not like it? What if I will forget this and that? What if blah, blah, blah. And I immediately start to feel my body tensing up. I can feel my breath being more shallow. I can feel my muscles tensing up, and I can feel my mind spiraling down, and I feel that I'm completely shutting off my creativity. I am closing my heart, and I am in this survival mode, because what if it will be a disaster and I will suffer and it will be painful and unbearable? Versus when I think about the same event, something that I'm planning for the next week, and something that I really want to do and I really want it to work out. And I ask myself, what if it will work out? What if it will be even more beautiful than I'm imagining it right now? What if everybody will love it? What if people will be so grateful for me, for organizing that? What if I will remember that day as a day that changed my life? What if I will be at my best then? What if I will be able to share the wisdom from my heart and the beauty and the love? You know what I mean? And immediately when I ask these kind of questions, I feel the opening. I literally feel my whole body opening up, expanding. I feel my heart relaxing, because my heart doesn't need to be guarded anymore in case of some catastrophe happening. So I feel my heart relaxing. And from the space of deep relaxation, I am able to tap into my creativity, into my wisdom, into making sure that this event that I'm planning for next week will be a beautiful one, because I create it from the space of trust and from the space of relaxation. So try this out, especially if there are some situations that are tensing you up. Another question, kind of similar to this one, is the question that I like to ask myself in the morning. And the question is something along these lines. What if today will be the best day of my life? What if today will change everything for the best? What if I will receive some great news today? What if I will receive a beautiful surprise today? And someone may say that, oh, this is just like a wishful thinking and, you are just daydreaming. But think about it. When you start the day thinking, what if I will be late for work? What if my child will get sick? What if my car will not start? What if I will receive some horrible news when I open up my email? This is also wishful thinking. Both of these are wishful thinkings. Just the question is, do you want to wish for the best possible outcome, or do you want to wish for the worst possible outcome? Asking a question, what is the best thing that can happen for me today? And asking the question, what is the worst thing that can happen to me today? They have the same weight. I like to say that they cost the same. This is a question and this is a question. It takes equal amount of energy to ask the question, what is the best thing that can happen for me today? And what is the worst thing that can happen for me today? Just the results of these questions, the consequences of these questions will be different, because literally the question, what is the best thing that can happen for me today? And what is the worst thing that can happen for me today? They will induce different chemical reactions in your body. They will make you feel differently. And that is why sometimes you can hear people saying that our thoughts create our reality. It is a little bit simplified way to say it, but in a way, yes, because your thoughts create responses in your body. And they make you feel in this or another way, in a very, very simplified way. This is a topic for a totally different episode, and I feel like I'm sidetracking a little bit. So I want to come back to my wisdom questions, to my quantum questions, life-changing questions. But I hope that this gives you some sort of an idea of how to work with them. Another question that I really like to ask myself, especially when I feel that I don't have a clear picture, that I feel that I'm sidetracked and I don't know what my next possible best step could be. One of the questions to ask I already told you. So the question, what am I not seeing here? But another question that I really love to ask myself and open up myself to answers is, what is really important right now? What is really important right now? And by right now, it can be in this very moment, it can be today, but it can also be in my life. What is really important right now? And the power of asking yourself these questions is that sometimes the answers that will come, and they will come, trust me, you will know when the answer comes. And sometimes these answers are not easy to receive because they feel like a confrontation, and they show you very clearly whether you are on a right track with your life or whether you are sidetracking. So imagine that you are asking yourself, what is really important for me right now? What is the most important thing for me right now? and you receive the answer from your intuition, from your higher guidance, from God, from universe, from your own heart, whatever you want to put it. But you receive the answer and you know that it is a true answer, because that is also one of the things that we know if the answer is true. So imagine that you ask yourself this question: what is really important for me right now? And you receive the truthful answer, the biggest truth of your heart, that right now the most important thing for me is to being able to spend a lot of quality time with my family. But the reality of your life is that you are working 14 hours a day. So that is a moment of confrontation. And that is the beauty and the power of asking yourself these questions. And they are not always fluffy, and they are not always easy, and they are not always beautiful answers that you will get, because sometimes the answers that you will get, they will sometimes force you, sometimes gently invite you to take a look at your life, to take a look at your values. I feel that the self-inquiry questions, the wisdom questions, they really show us our true values. They are a beautiful way to connect us to our dreams, to our deepest desires, to something that lights up our hearts. And this is another group of questions that I love to ask myself. Something that I keep asking myself every day is, if I could do anything, anywhere, with anybody, what would I love to do? What would I love to be doing right now? With myself, with my life, with my time, with my money, with my resources. If I could do anything, anywhere, with anybody, if I could create anything, what would I love to create? And this is a big question to ask. One of the biggest, I think, one of the most powerful questions that I know. And I keep asking myself this question because very often I don't get a very clear answer, or I would be doing this or I would be doing that. But it comes more in the form of a feeling. Sometimes it comes in forms of ideas of, oh, I would like to do this little project. I would like to speak to this person. But feel the power of this question. What happens in your whole system when you ask yourself, and you ask yourself with utmost curiosity, if I could do anything, anywhere, with anybody, what would I love to be doing right now? This is something that I also want to kind of emphasize, that the idea of working with these questions is to ask them with utmost curiosity and with utmost compassion. Again, imagine that you are talking to somebody that you want to get to know them better. So when you ask them a question, it is driven by curiosity. It is driven by love. It is driven by you wanting to open up the pathway, the beautiful highway of conversation between you and another person. Because sometimes we ask questions, like when we talk to other people, sometimes we ask questions, but we really are not interested in hearing the answer. We just sometimes ask a question to prove the point. Sometimes we ask the question to immediately put somebody down the moment they give us the answer, because we want to criticize them for the answer that they give us. So this is not the case with asking yourself these questions. So working with quantum questions, with wisdom questions, is an invitation to meet yourself with utmost compassion, with utmost curiosity. So you ask yourself this question and you are just so curious to get to know the real answer, the true answer. There is no criticism in you, there is no diminishing, there is no inner critic. There is just this utmost curiosity and compassion, especially if you ask these big questions like, what would I love to do? What would I love to create? Another beautiful big question that I like to ask myself is, what is the most precious thing that I could share with the world? What is the the most precious thing that I have in me that I could and that I would love to share with the world? What is my biggest gift that I would love, 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 love to share with the world right now? Another beautiful question to connect you to your deepest desires, to your deepest dreams, is asking yourself what my heart really desires right now. Or if this sounds a little bit too esoteric maybe for you, or too like you are not able to connect to that question, then just simply asking yourself, what do I really want right now? Not what I think that is right or what I should do or what would be the best logical next step to do, but what do I really want to do right now? Again, if I could do anything, what would I love to do right now? And listen carefully to the answers that come when you open yourself up to this truthful conversation with yourself. The self-inquiry questions, they invite you to be truthful with yourself, to stand naked in front of yourself in truth. That's why you ask them between you and you. There is just you and yourself. Nobody else is listening to the answers. It's just between you and you. And maybe it's a good moment for me to stop now and to like pause now a little bit with the questions and tell you how I like to work with them before I continue with my favorite questions. One of the ways I like to work with them is just asking myself some questions in the morning, like I already shared. Another very popular and a beautiful way is to journal. So you write down the question. What would I love to create? If I could create anything, what would I love to create? Or what would love do? What would I do if I had the courage? What is the most important thing for me right now in my life? Or any other question that comes to you, you just write it down and you allow yourself to journal on it. You can put a timer for like 5 minutes and just allow a free flow of journaling. And the journaling, writing things down, it doesn't need to be the answer to the question. The answer to the question will come through the words that come out to you, through you. But for example, if I would journal on the question, what would I love to do if I could do anything? Then my journaling could start like this, that I would write down the question, and then my journaling could look like this. I am not sure what I would love to do with my life, but I feel that right now my life is not exactly as I would like it to be. And then I'm journaling for 5 minutes, or I recommend no more than 15 minutes, but just like put a timer on that. And allow yourself to communicate with yourself, to talk to yourself, to listen to yourself carefully. Another way of working with wisdom questions, quantum questions, self-inquiry questions, I keep giving you different names of these questions. Another way is to, and it's a very powerful one, is to stand in front of the mirror and to ask yourself, look yourself in the eyes and ask yourself out loud, what would love do? Or what am I not seeing in this situation? Or what do I really, really, really want right now? Or one of the beautiful questions to ask, what do I know for sure? What do I know for sure? It's a beautiful question to connect you to your core values. So if you want to explore deeper your core values, it's a beautiful question to inquire on, to ask you. And finally, the last way that I like to work with that question is to actually do it with somebody. So if you have somebody that you absolutely fully trust and you know that you can open up your heart to this person and that you will be met with utmost curiosity, compassion, love, care, just that this person is able to listen to you with their whole heart, then you can take a moment and actually have an actual conversation with that person. And it's a beautiful way of connecting with somebody. Just the other day, I had a beautiful evening with my sister. I think it actually inspired a little bit this episode right now and why I'm recording it right now. I think it was 2 evenings ago. I had a beautiful evening with my sister when we were working with these kind of deep self-inquiry questions. And one of the questions that I opened up about was this one. If I could do anything anywhere with anybody, what would I love to be doing? What would I love to create? And the answer that came out of me, it actually surprised me. This is, by the way, a very good sign. If your answers surprise you, it means that they don't come from your mind. They don't come from the known. They don't come from you just being stuck in your familiar past or predictable future, but they really come from, we can call it the field or the quantum field, or from your intuition, or from the universe, or from your heart, whatever, from your gut, whatever you want to call it. So that is another beautiful way of working with these questions. Asking somebody to just have a conversation, and then they can also share their answers. And believe me, it's such a beautiful moment to deepen the connection with somebody. Instead of talking about politics or rising prices or, just some daily chores, take a moment with your loved one and ask them, what is really, really important for you? What is the most important thing for you in your life? Or another question to to inquire on your core values. It's a fantastic question, and I like to ask my friends this question. And the question is, if you could deliver one message to the whole world, what would it be? If you knew that every person in every corner of the world would get that message from you, what would you like to tell them? What would you like the whole world to know? And by the way, if you want to share with me any of your answers, if you want to use me as your buddy to talk to, or if you want to journal in a form of sending me an email, I would be honored, and I would be very happy to read some of your answers to these deep questions. So as you can hear, all of these questions that I have shared with you so far, they start with what? What would love do? What would I do if I had the courage? What would I do if I had infinite amount of money? What would I create? If I could do anything, what would I be doing right now? What is this amazing thing that can happen to me today? What is the best outcome? What is really important right now? What do I really want to be doing? What am I not seeing? What is the gift in this? And all kinds of these similar questions, but they all start with what. And then the other group of questions that I also really love working with, I call them the how questions. And these are the questions that they work like magic. They are like alchemical questions, really, because they immediately allow you to connect to the feeling that you want to connect to. So maybe you have heard about affirmations, which by the way, I love them, and I have different ways of working with affirmations, maybe for some another episode. But for some people, affirmations are really not working. They don't like them and they feel like it's fake, especially if there are affirmations about some big things like I love myself, or I'm safe, or I'm healthy. And it's impossible for you to believe in them if you feel that you don't love yourself, if you are not healthy, if you just you can't connect to whatever this affirmation is saying. And this is when, instead of saying the affirmation that you don't believe in, like I love myself, turn it into a question. How would it feel to love myself fully? How would it feel to accept myself fully? Or how would it feel to be loved? How would it feel to be safe? How would it feel to be accepted? And I don't know if you can feel it, but I have a feeling that framing it in such a way, it takes away so much pressure. Because if you keep saying affirmations, like I love myself or I'm safe, but you really don't feel it, then it only creates more resistance and it creates more pressure. Versus when you ask yourself a question, it is like, kind of like almost hypothetically. I'm just out of curiosity, how would it feel to be loved? And the thing is that the moment you ask yourself this question, your body will give you the response. You will have some sort of bodily response to how would it feel to be safe. Just like if you ask yourself, like, how would it feel to be something from a completely opposite of the spectrum? How would it feel to be at war right now? How would it feel to be in grave danger? How would it feel to be at war? Even though you are not at war, hopefully, I hope you are safe right now. Even though you are not, even though you are maybe safely at your home, then you are able to connect to that feeling and you might start to feel anxious or have some physical response of stress. And we work exactly with this principle that for our body, it doesn't make much of a difference if something happens for real or if we are just imagining it. So if I ask myself this question, how would it feel to be totally loved, to be accepted, to feel safe, to feel wanted? I open my imagination, because when my mind, when my whole system, when my human hears this question, what they do is that they want to give me the answer. So they immediately start to imagine, okay, how would it actually feel? Let me imagine that. How would it feel to be loved, to be accepted, to be wanted, to be safe? And you will get a response from your body. So these how questions, or actually I very often phrase them like, how would it feel to something? They are beautiful gateways to open yourself up to feel more of what you would like to feel. A beautiful question to ask yourself, how would it feel to live the life of my dreams? How would it feel? How would it feel to wake up every day with gratitude in my heart? How would it feel to fall asleep every day with gratitude in my heart? How would it feel to have a beautiful, kind, loving relationship? How would it feel to be courageous? How would it feel to always be taken care of, to know that I am always taken care of and protected? I have a saying that I share often on social media and among my friends as well. I'm well known for that. I often say that I am universe's favorite child. And it's my mantra and I connect to it deeply. So sometimes when somebody doesn't feel like it is true about them, I tell them, but how would it feel? How would it feel for you to be universe's favorite child? How would it feel to know that you are blessed, that you are universe's favorite child? A beautiful question that connects me to self-love. How would it feel to love myself fully? How would it actually feel to be my best friend? And just take a breath and ask that question, and then you can just let it go. You don't need to spend 15 minutes on meditating on that question. You can, of course, if you want to. You can take that question into your body and explore the feeling and allow the feeling grow. But if you don't want to, you can just ask this question and let it go. How would it feel if this, whatever is bothering you, if this was not a problem? And then just let it go. Don't obsess about the answers. Because then when you don't obsess about the answers, they will actually come. Sometimes they will come very clearly in form of words. Sometimes they will come in a form of your inspiration to take some aligned action. Sometimes they will come in form of synchronicities, people that you meet, an article that you suddenly read that just gives you a perfect answer to your question. So again, I'm gonna say it again, because I feel that this is like this most important thing, that you just ask the question with utmost curiosity and you just release it and you wait for the answer to come. Just like when you talk to somebody and you ask them a question, you wait for the answer from them. You don't try to answer the question yourself when you have a conversation with somebody. That is exactly the idea when you have a conversation with God, with the universe, with your intuition, with your higher self, with your inner guidance, with your own heart, with your soul. I'm taking a look at the list of my questions. It kind of like it can go on and on and on and on. But I feel and I think that I shared the most important questions, my favorite questions to ask. You might want to listen to this episode maybe one more time to write down some of the questions. Or maybe it will be enough for you to listen to this episode and then you will come up with your own questions, your own way to work with yourself, to get infinitely curious about yourself, to open up to this infinite, and I mean infinite, well of wisdom that you have inside you. You might have heard this saying that all the answers are within, that you have every answer to every question. And I believe this to be true. And this tool, wisdom questions, self-inquiry questions, quantum questions, this tool allows you to remember that all the answers lie within. But in order to get the answers, ask the questions, because the answers are there. The answers are within you. Ask the question, release it, and allow yourself to be surprised with the answer. Or even the very act of asking the question, allow the very act of asking the question to change you, to change your attitude, to change your feeling towards some situation. Allow yourself to meet yourself, because like I said, I believe that there is nothing more important in this universe than for you to meet yourself with love, with kindness, with utmost curiosity and compassion, to get to know yourself and to act from that place of being deeply connected to yourself. Because when you are deeply connected to yourself, you want to naturally share yourself with the world and your biggest dreams and desires and all the gifts that you have in you. So be brave and ask the quantum questions, the wisdom questions, and allow them to change you. And I would love to hear from you if this episode has been in any way, shape or form inspirational, or you took some action and something started to change in your life. I would be happy and honored and extremely grateful if you would like to know, let me know about it. So you can send me a message. There is an email, a contact email in the description of this episode. And I think I'm gonna pause here and stop here. Thank you for you. Thank you for spending a moment of your life with me. And I will talk to you sometime soon. Aloha and bye-bye.